It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to be talking about the new features of Season 6 for Cookie Alliance, and specifically some of the changes and some of the things to expect going forward. So, the special rules that is available now will likely change every single season, so that means that you will want to be ready to craft different teams for that reason, as different setups and different teams will do better accordingly to the rules that are going. So the first rule we have is extra damage to stun targets equal to 2% of their HP. So Wildberry and other cookies that can stun cookies, you will deal extra damage to. So you'll get a benefit from that. Magic cookies have an attack increase of 8%. So anyone that you have in a team of magic stats will be dealing extra damage. And then common cookies have HP of 140% plus. So for this team in this season, the first team we have is Wildberry, Dark Cacao, Eclair, Pure Vanilla, and Cotton Cookie. Now, none of them are taking benefits of the new features except Wildberry for the stun, dealing extra damage. But our second team is going to be definitely taking advantage, as we've got 2 magic cookies and some stuns from Sea Fairy, and then the massive damage that we can push out with Almond Cookie. Our third team, just a T-Night team to help survive and push through the remaining waves, as at least with our setup, we should be able to get pretty far with our first 2 teams. Team 4, another similar setup. This is going to be mostly a boss takedown team, and then Pumpkin Pie having the magic stats means that she'll be doing extra damage as well, in accordance with the rest of the team. And then, of course, we have our speed team for any additional waves that are going to be problematic, which I will show you which wave we will be using this for as well. So let's jump right into it, and let's go ahead and take them into battle to show you how we do and where we can get. So, of course, because of the amount of cookies that I have at level 60, we're going to have the full effects of blast mode pushing us past the first few waves. So the hardest boss that you're going to see in the beginning waves, whether you're a good player, a newer player, doesn't matter how you have it set up, when you get to this wave right here, the Archivist, if you don't take it down fast enough, it will do a lot of critical damage to one cookie on your team, regardless of how much damage it normally does, just because of its specials abilities. Now, if you have enough defensive power and enough damage resistance and healing, you're going to be able to take care of this and come back from it no matter what. If you don't, you'll probably want to switch to Team 4 because you'll need to take that boss down fast enough so that you don't have those effects and abilities happen to your team. So, as you can see, we're continuing through with our main team. Wildberry's giving extra damage resistance of 15% to our entire team, meaning we take even less damage. The Monocle is giving us healing and debuff removals for any of the waves, so that way we have an additional healer on our team in Essential. We have shields from both Pure Vanilla and Eclair Cookie every time that we take down cookies from Eclair, and just in general from Pure Vanilla. And then Pure Vanilla and Cotton are providing good healing stats for our entire team. And then the reason Dark Cacao is on this team is that in the later waves, there will be some shielded enemies that we'll need to take down, which Dark Cacao and Twizzly are the 2 best for, but Affogato can also remove shields as well. So as you can see, they have a lot of waves with bosses being cookies. We have Parfait here, and then upcoming we're going to have Pumpkin Pie and Fig as a team duo. Sea Fairy will be a boss cookie wave that we'll have to take on as well. So there's definitely some good waves that we're going to run into, and I'll show you. And so wave 14, poison heavy wave just because of the snake. A lot of fast attacking, heavy damage dealing cookie hounds. Once Friday comes, we'll be able to play this mode in 2.5 speed 2, so it'll be easier to give these recommendations and video explanations without the video being as long as it has normally been. And when we get to wave 16, this will be a good boss here. Not terribly too hard, but it is a good one. The 4th Dart Totem. lot of frontline damage coming from this boss, and the multi-team damage coming from the enemy units, but you can take them out pretty fast with Eclair skills and Dark Cacao. And then, of course, Wildberry pushing back the small enemy units so that we can get to the main boss a little bit easier, as that is where the main generation of units is coming from. So once we get past Wave 16, we're going to be moving on to Chapter 5. And yet again, just multi-team damage as the waves are shooting through everybody instead of just the front line. And then Wave 18, we've got Squid Ink. Not a boss level, but still strong level itself. So if you need to, you may need to switch to a boss-killing team just because Squid Ink is a single target versus waves of target. Wave 19, these do a lot of lockdowns. As you can see, we have multiple units locked down from the skills. So if you can use your main team to get through this. If not, you'll probably need to use the speed team or Parfait just because of the debuff resistance, which will lower the cooldowns of those capturing nets. Here's our Pumpkin Pie Fig combo boss battle. For me, it's not terribly difficult, but you may run into issues because of healing reduction from Pumpkin Pie and attack reduction from Fig. So this is an interesting wave that you may run into some issues if you do not have fully optimized cookies. So please do keep that in mind. And then here we don't actually even beat Pom Pom. It's just the fact that the timer runs out and Pom Pom disappears. So we're just able to out-heal the time that Pom Pom's alive. This wave is a big wave of units, of course, but Claire's ability really helps clear most of them out, as well as the ricochet effects from Wildberry, so not too terribly hard of a wave. Wave 22 is a good wave for a lot of freeze damage and a lot of knockback, so Coco Curry can do pretty well against these units too, but if your main team is strong enough, they can handle them. Wave 23, just a healing wave before the boss wave, so I will be switching teams momentarily because there's some pretty heavy damage being inflicted from this next wave. And you'll see that in a moment. And so this wave specifically, there's just a lot of good knockback, a lot of freeze, a lot of different things happening from the boss itself, but you may not need to switch to this team with your main team if the team is strong enough, but that wave definitely can inflict some pretty hefty damage. This wave, it's a big high defense unit with some poison coming from the back end. Nothing too crazy, but it can definitely deal a lot of damage over time if you can't get through that first barrier. As we get to wave 26, we're going to have another round before some hard waves are coming up. Also, they did make a change when you're going through. If you're not in a battle, the timer stops and picks back up when you are in battle. That way your points are reflective accordingly to the battles that you're doing rather than the transition times between. And so that's a nice change that they made. And so we are going to change teams again momentarily for the next boss wave, and that is Sea Fairy's wave. We will change back to our main team after the time runs out. We just want to give our boss killing team a chance to deal as much damage and as much healing reduction as possible, and then we're going to move on to them. Because Sea Fairy can deal quite a lot of damage even to our main team, so we wanted to make sure that we have it set up so that we're pushing forward as best as we can. And as you can see, quite a lot of damage, so we wanted to set it up in the sense that we're protected as best we can. Technically, our main team can take the Tiger Lily wave on wave 29, but the speed team honestly just handles it better. And so that's why I switched to this team. Tiger Lily has a lot of abilities happening very quickly, very powerful. And then we're going to switch back to the main team again, where we're going to get all that knockback, and we're going to get that stun on Tiger Lily thanks to Wildberry. And then we're going to be coming up to a couple of the harder waves that have shielded enemies soon. So we will be running into where Dark Cacao is going to be most useful for that reason. And here's a knockback wave, wave 30. A lot of knockback here, so yet again, Coco can handle knockback the best. Wildberry handles it pretty well too because of the resistance to knockback as well. So Coco and Wildberry have the best knockback resistance between all the cookies currently. Wave 31 is a pretty heavy wave of damage. I find that this team specifically just eliminates the wave pretty quickly in comparison to other teams that you can use. And then we'll switch back to the main team again. Wave 32 is a boss team. This wave is not terrible though. It's a lot of good damage, but it's not too terrible. As you can see, they have a lot of damage that they can dish out quickly. So it's really good that we have the shields and all the healings, because the damage is pretty hefty from the bomb fruit. Now do also keep in mind, I do not have massive damage resistance toppings on all of my cookies. If I did, I'm sure I would probably be going even further, but this is just being built optimized in a sense of utilizing the skills and the power of each cookie. If you did want to set up in a sense of a more damage resistance heavy build, I'm sure you'd be able to go even further, but it's not something that's 100% needed, especially with the cookies being up to level 70 this coming Friday. That will make a big enough change where it might not even make a big difference of having huge damage resistance on all the cookies for the lower waves of Alliance. For the higher waves it will, because the higher waves there will be still even stronger enemies to face and fight. But as far as the current waves, I do believe that waves 1 through 30 you don't need a massive amount of damage resistance on, unless your cookies are lower level or lower toppings, or maybe you don't have as many bonds or research labs. But I do not necessarily have them set up in a full damage resistance build, and I can show you after what the toppings I have being used, if that will help anybody at all. So here we are, wave 35. And the amount of enemies that you defeat that are not summoned enemies will count towards your points too. So if there's brand new summoned enemies, you're not going to get extra points for that. But for the enemies that are at least on the field to start, that's where you get the points from. So please do keep that in mind if you're trying to bait heavy wave summoning teams for like extra points. It's actually not going to help you at all. So here we got wave 37, another wave that we can heal from because we can tank the damage and heal during the battle. We should get shields on momentarily. Actually, no, shields are disabled during this wave, or this chapter, I should say. So here we're just using Dark Cacao to get through the enemies as quick as possible. We got Adventure trying to lock us down. Wildberry's damage resistance is being super helpful in this instance. And we did lose Cotton, but we are still pushing forward. For now, we're going to switch to the T-Knight team to just keep the combo going as long as possible. And then we will move back to our main team momentarily, once we've done enough damage output from our main team here to this wave. So what are your thoughts? What are your opinions on the new changes and buffs that are in Alliance mode? Are they going to be enough to help push you forward? Are they minuscule right now and just not really helping the strategy that you had in mind? Are the buffs going to be something that maybe are going to get you to wave 60 if you're a veteran player? Are you thinking that once you hit level 70 cookies with the new update that you're going to be having a much easier time in alliance mode? What are some of the things you're looking forward to? I would definitely love to know in the comments and to see your opinions and thoughts, as we're going to be experiencing quite a lot of changes in the upcoming days. And it's going to be very interesting to see what changes, what's different, and what's the new norm. So it looks like my hard wave here is going to be wave 40 with Pancake Cookie. I'm just going to try and have my team survive as long as possible, see if we can just at least defeat the wave. We'll take Sorbet next. They don't even get to survive to try. And of course, our last team. Alright, so wave 40 is as far as I can get with that strategy, but 2.5 million points, not a bad start. Definitely something that could be refined a bit more. Yet again, as I said, if I had full damage resistance, I could probably get to a higher wave just because of the potential and the builds. As you can see, that puts me in Master 3 at the top 1400 position currently. And if I just show you the toppings currently, these are the toppings that we have on everybody. We actually forgot to adjust Eclairs, so that means we probably would have gone further because we didn't have the attack toppings on him. So that was without Eclair even having toppings. So I'm sure we could run back through and do even better. We got these toppings on these cookies. I forgot to put any on Mango, so yet again, we could go even further. These are the toppings for that team. Here's our build for our boss team. And then here's our build for our speed team. Let me know in the comments your feedback or any thoughts you have. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.